ובסך הכל הן מתארות תנאים סבירים שהם קיבלו שם.
And now we mentioned there how the Palestinian, not the Palestinian, but the Israeli hostages, well, the hostages held by Hamas, just say, they often speak about their good conditions. And now this was another devastating footage here. Once again, just look at the body language here. And there's so much of this. I'm showing you guys one example because I don't, for a second time, I could show you guys so many receipts. There's so much of this footage of these exchange programs where the language is completely different than what you would see between Israel and Palestine. With Israeli taking Palestinian prisoners, you often see just rank violence, disdain. And meanwhile, just look at the body language and what she says. She tells him thank you.
Okay.
Well, you know, I'm not a fucking psychologist. I'm not a professional. But I'm not saying that she's happy about her condition, right? But it's someone that is like, all right, this is a fucked up situation, but at least this person treat me well, right? I'm not saying that she's happy about this. That's ridiculous to say. No one's saying she's happy about being a hostage. But considering how Palestinian hostages are treated, doesn't she seem pretty fucking thankful?
Okay.
For the fucking torture?
Because and I've seen segments on corporate media where they try to explain this, and they've said everything from Stockholm syndrome to this is actually Hamas's plan with these hostage releases. Why we shouldn't be doing it on Fox News. This is their plan to gain sympathy. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to play this clip later when we get to that segment of Tulsi and Max. But yeah, that like she even speaks to this, how this is like their plan to gain sympathy because they're human and they're treating other humans like humans.
This is why I wanted to do the Tulsi segment after this segment, because after my segment, the Tulsi segment is even more hilarious, right? Yeah, because you guys see how full of shit Tulsi really is. So this is a PR disaster for Israel. And now there's hostages. They are being silent, being threatened with violence to stay silent. And I'm going to show you guys a crazy clip of what the Israel far right is saying when they should do to their hostages, because this is a horrible situation for Israel, because people are realizing everything that they told you about Hamas is true of Israel. They told you that Hamas is a group of ragtag torturers, rapists, people who violate human rights. That is not true. They may do stuff that you wouldn't do in your life because they seen different shit than you did. You grew up in the suburbs, Mike. They grew up under criminal, apartheid, colonial violence. So their outlook on the world is different from you, Susan, who lives in the suburbs. Susan, you have no reason to engage in violence, ma'am. Mike, the guy who lives in Utah suburbs, what reasons do you have to engage in state violence? Palestinians have every motherfucking right. It's just that simple. So you guys may have different cultural beliefs. You guys may deep down in your soul like, man, I was told violence is never the answer. Nigga, this is the reality of life. And this is my toxic masculinity speaking in a way, my Midwestern cultures. I personally believe if you are a man and you're not fighting for your family, whatever that means, that could mean feeding them every day. That may mean paying the bills, teaching them stuff, being a good family guy, you know what I mean, if you live in America. Or that means if you're victims of colonial violence, you fight for your fucking family. That's what I believe. This is one thing this is my personal belief thrown here. If you're someone who family is victim of colonial violence and you don't do anything, my toxic masculinity opinion is that you are a failure of a man. If the state brutalizes your family and you like, I would turn the other cheek, you are a failure. That may not be the right position. That's why I say that's my toxic positions. You know what I mean?
And for YouTube YouTube censors, we do not condone any acts of violence. This is for entertainment purposes only. Yeah, we do not condone any acts of violence whatsoever. We want to be peaceful. No one deserves to die whatsoever. But go ahead.
All right, I continue. I told you, I'll try to hold myself back on YouTube, but man, I get fired up. I'll play this video for our good friend Fiorella Isabel. I may play just a little bit of this, but because it's like a 3-minute video, I want to be quick on time. But this is the general message. This man relays a profound realization many newly released Israeli hostages may have. That moment you realize Hamas are protecting you from your own army. So this is a long video, so I'll just play a little bit of it. Maybe first minute.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, I was thinking about something today. Imagine that you are an Israeli hostage being held in Gaza, who's just about to be handed back over to Israel because of the ceasefire and the prisoner exchange agreement. Now, for the last 6 weeks, you've been held in Gaza by Hamas, and it's been only Hamas that's kept you alive amidst perhaps the most unprecedented bombing campaign in history relative to the size of the territory being attacked. Over 14,000 people have been killed. Over 6,000 children have been killed. Entire city blocks decimated, flattened to the ground. Your army, your government has been bombing right on top of your head indiscriminately. And Hamas has been completely dedicated to keeping you alive, protecting you, while their own people are dying around them.
Do you guys understand how much of a PR disaster this is for Israel? And because of this, Israel and the West are falling back on their authoritarian tendencies of silencing these hostages. Israel is making it so these people cannot speak to the media. And imagine if they do, they would retaliate against them. They have done so before. So I have to play a little bit more of this. I don't have to play the whole thing, but then I'll move on. I'm almost done, CJ. Almost done.
Protecting you, and have been for 6 weeks, making sure that you don't die from the bombing campaign being waged by your own government. They've protected you from your government's bombs. And so now you're one of the few Israelis who actually knows what it's like to be in Gaza and to experience the death and destruction being unleashed on the Gaza Strip by your government. And the only reason why you yourself haven't been killed by that death and destruction released by your government or unleashed by your government, the only reason that you haven't been killed is because of the people who took you hostage.
So I think that's a good stopping point there. There's another one I want to share. Just for a second time, I want to show you guys this is the last one. And you can find many more of these, like these testimonies of Israeli hostages being treated well by Hamas. Now compare that with what I just showed you, where 95% of Palestinians are tortured under Israeli regime. And there's a confusion over what side we're supposed to be condemning. Bernie Sanders and John Fetterman is having a hard time picking what's the right side. You guys really believe that when it's this obvious? It's this obvious to me, a college dropout, as someone with shaky morals in some cases. It's obvious to me here. But it's not obvious to the professional managerial class. Do you guys really believe that? I don't. I believe they're active agents of genocide. The progressive and sex Palestine people, who we called out since day one. Right? So one more on this part, where a woman describes, and I actually haven't seen this. I've read the description, so I'm actually going to watch it for the first time. Woman describes how her husband has been well taken care of while being a hostage in Gaza. Why isn't Israel allowing all these hostages to openly discuss their experiences with the press? Now that goes to what I was just talking about, CJ. So Israel, they're forcing these hostages, like they do many times before, to talk to the press. They don't want this message to get out there. And all these people who are sharing this stuff, I promise you there's going to be retaliation. If not by the government, it's going to be by the militant Israeli settlers. I'm going to show you guys what I mean here very soon. So let's see. This is not a long video, I don't think.
เหนือมากเลยค่ะครั้งแรกเพื่อนเขาบอกว่าโดนยิงเสียชีวิตในแคมป์ทั้งหมด16ศพคือมีวิทูลอยู่ในนั้นด้วยค่ะทางบ้านก็เสียใจร้องไห้ไม่เป็นอันทำอะไรเลย
แต่คือตอนนี้พอข่าว
ค่ะส่งศพกลับมาทั้งหมดแล้วยังไม่มีน้องกลับมาพี่ก็เลยคือแบบพี่ก็ดีใจเลยแหละที่แบบจู่ๆเราความหวังเราก็ริบหรี่แล้วเนาะคิดว่าเป็นตัวประกันเขาจะปล่อยก็ได้ไม่ปล่อยก็ได้เขาจะทรมานเขาจะฆ่าทิ้งในอุโมงค์น่ะก็ไม่มีใครรู้ค่ะ
Let me if you turn the sound down, I'll read a little bit. Yeah, go. Yeah. You were thinking the same thing. Yeah, just read a little bit of it. Yeah, go ahead.
But it pretty much what I could sum up here. He said, I'm very happy because my hope was very dim. He is a hostage. He might be tortured or killed in that tunnel. You guys see how this is the narrative? Anyone believe that Hamas is actually torturing prisoners, even though it's the exact opposite. These are what these people are led to believe. But suddenly there's hope. His face was very happy and he seemed okay. He said that he was not tortured or assaulted. And he had been fed good food. He was taken care of very well. So these family people, they obviously care about the family members more than Israel propaganda campaign, CJ. They were like, bro, this shit's crazy. Like, I was told, remember, they really believe this because they're victims of Israeli propaganda. They really believe that their fucking family members are fucked. Like, I don't know if you plan on sharing this. I wasn't planning to. I just want to throw this on that in here. But you guys see there's this trend of Israel like lying to families. They use this guy as a propaganda tool. They showed this guy and they claimed that his daughter was brutally murdered, including tortured, sexually assaulted. They tortured this guy psychologically. And they were like, we showed him the body. We're gonna give you the evidence of the brutal ways that your daughter or your how exactly they're related? Yeah, her father. Yeah, I was like, damn, he looked kind of old. But anyway, his daughter was treated right. So then they like, all right, we told you this so you can be our propaganda puppet. We need you to go on camera. We need you to cry. We need to build sympathy for the genocide. So are you down? So I'm not even gonna attack this guy personally because he probably traumatized at the fact that his daughter was probably captured and tortured. Right. So he's like, I want to get my trauma out there. He cried in front of the camera. And then they were like, oops, psych, my bad. She's actually alive. So I want you guys to, let's do some logical thinking here. Let's do the inverse. This is what a lot of people don't do when it comes to the issue specifically. If you're on the right side of something, why would you have to lie? Unless the lie serves a purpose, right? So you won't lie if something's true unless you need people to believe that the reality is the exact opposite what you claim it to be. So the reason why they tell you that Palestinians torture Israeli hostages is because they don't. I may explain that sloppily, but let me try it again. The reason why they lie to you is because they can't factually prove that Palestinians torture people. So if Palestinians torture people, they wouldn't have to make this up. They will show you examples of this. So the fact that Israel keep lying about Hamas and how they treat prisoners, doesn't that show the inverse is true? That Hamas treat their prisoners well? I don't know if I did a good job explaining that. But anyway, this is another example of Israel lying. Now, because of Israel engaging in this psychotic lying propaganda campaign, and I'm going to show you guys this. I'm going to wrap it up after this. Because you guys seen there's a policy of Israel preventing hostages from speaking to the press. And now there's an ex-Israeli spy that is saying what the entire Likud party thinks out loud. What this guy is about to tell you is what Israelis actually believe out loud. You guys know I'm showing a lot of clips from Hotspot. Once again, give Hotspot a follow. They do good reporting on this stuff because they help me find a lot of the receipts. Here's an ex-Israeli spy who wants to silence or imprison the family of the hostages. And I cannot emphasize enough, this is mainstream Likud party feelings here.
When we declared the first thing that the government should have done was declare a state of national emergency and told all of the hostage families, you will keep your mouths shut or we will shut them for you. You will.
Bro, what? Bro, so if you are, if you still have a colonized mind, if you're still xenophobic in some way, I want you to imagine this Israeli white guy with the most offensively stereotypical Arab accent. What you think of when the corporate media are trying to tell you that Hamas is a terrorist, for example. When you think bin Laden, when you think of an Arab terrorist, I want you to substitute this guy for that. Because as I told you guys, everything they tell you about Hamas is actually true of Israel and Israelis. So this guy saying, hostages, you don't tell the truth, you help us lie, or we will shut your mouth, which is a direct threat. And it gets more unhinged. I just want you guys to hear that part again.
All of the hostage families, you will keep your mouths shut, or we will shut them for you. You will not interfere in our management of this. You will not be used by the international community or by our own leftists who manage the Shalit deal as a weapon against us. And if that means imprisoning to silence certain members of the hostage families, then so be it. We're in a state of. I was turning all these posters out with kidnapped, with all these pictures of these poor people that were kidnapped. Why? Because each one of them was a poison dart at our ability to wage total war.
This is what the average Likud Israeli feels. When you look at the Israeli populace who's celebrating the deaths of Gaza kids, you guys see the Israeli TikToks of them making fun of children with no electricity. This is what they believe. And Israeli families of the hostages are realizing this. That's why they're protesting Benjamin Netanyahu. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu has a 4% approval rating.
That's ridiculous.